added. I wish they were. You know, the overall boss, she's Clara Napagatia, she approved of the payment. And so I thought that if a boss sits in the office and approves documents we are checking, then the boss should also be held accountable. And the director of budget at the office of the president, these two were left out. But at least 4 in, so let's take it. That's a good start.
Right. What were you seeking for the special prosecutor to do? Is it exactly what he has done now when you requested that he investigate the Northern Development Authority?
Sorry, Martin, I lost the first part of the question.
Yes, I was asking what exactly you were seeking for the special prosecutor to do in this case. Yes.
So I heard a story that the president had been petitioning 5.5 months earlier about this same matter. And that letter was copied to the Vice President, Mahmoud Baumia, and the current Chief Executive, who is now one of the accused persons, and so many other persons. The Chief of Staff didn't take any action. The President didn't take any action. The Vice President didn't take any action. And so for 5.5 months on, this case was just becoming a foolish case. Dr. Anamzoya, who brought the case out initially, sought to go to some senior police officers. It didn't also result in anything. Then eventually I got it from him, and then I brought it to Joy FM, and through news files, Joy FM held it. Later, Crusading Guys, you guys too, I think later on I came to the key points. Everywhere I appeared, I mentioned it, and all that helped in today bringing justice.
So, per the letter that we have from the Office of the Special Prosecutor, it just goes on to say that they have been charged. Do we know do you have the specific details of what charges, and beyond the statement, what are the next line of actions that will be rolled out? Are you aware?
Yes, so they've been charged. As for charges, they were been charged a long time ago. When we say charge, the charge is done at the offices of the investigating authority. We don't charge in court. What is happening today is that they've now moved from charging to filing the case in court. So the person is charged at the institution that, or in the institution that holds him for investigation. So let's say you charge a person at Yoko, you charge a person at CID headquarters, the investigators there, they will do the charging. And the special prosecutor, the person is charged at the office of the special prosecutor. Then after, they prepare and arraign the person in court. So when you see him brought to court, that's arraignment, the first time. Then the charges that have already been drafted and filed in court will be read to the person. Then the plea is taken, guilty or not guilty, as we see. So it's the arraignment that the special prosecutor is preparing to do now. That's take them to court. So this morning, the charges have been filed in the Tamale High Court. The case is going to be done in Tamale since the NDA is taking its or is conducting its activities in that area. That's Northern Development Authority. So the case will be in the Tamale High Court, and so very soon they will be called to the court to start by the file. So that's a good thing.
Right. My last two questions, one would be, so we are expecting that at the end of the day, the 10 million Ghana cedis that was the subject of controversy for the procurement breaches should be retrieved and brought back into the national coffers. Is that not it?
Yes. Yes. So actually in this case too, like you're saying, to make sure that we don't lose anything, as soon as the case was reported, the special prosecutor wrote to the Controller and Accountant General to stop the payment. The new Crusading Guide, Baku's newspaper, also did the story. It also helped. So the payment was stopped. But in law, the crime had already been committed. If the thing is 1 cedi and you're going to use illegal means to increase the contract to 2 cedis, that process of increasing on paper alone is a crime. So it doesn't even matter that you don't succeed in getting the money. Once you forge to increase, that's a crime already. So the money is dissolved, but they are going to face the law for the illegal increment.
Right. And then the last question would be, so this is just a microcosm of the many corruption cases around the country. How do you think this is likely to, help in our fight against corruption and corruption-related activities?
Yes, Martin, as we commonly say, little drops of water make the mighty ocean. And as you rightly said, this is a microcosm. This is a small one. But as you guys are already giving it traction through this interview, you conduct more interviews on it and the rest, it will be deterring like-minded persons. Yes, so in the interim, even before the case is finished, the traction you are giving it by way of the media stories, etc., will be educating the public and warning others to stay away. You remember the famous statement by the special prosecutor, where he said he wants to make sure that by the time he's leaving, everybody will be so scared that very soon you will be caught if you are involved in corruption. So that the moment you are thinking of a corrupt activity, immediately you think about Jabe will come after me. And that will help. Otherwise, people will lose everything.
Absolutely. Right. Well, thank you so much for your time, as always. Lawyer Martin Pebu, who, was the one that led the case and, asked to petition the special prosecutor to investigate. The latest is that they are being, they've been charged. They will be arraigned before court. We'll definitely be updating you as and when those details become available. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Let's go to another very big national interest story, which is the National Cathedral. So more pressure is mounting on the National Cathedral Board of Trustees as two eminent clergymen and members of the board have called for its immediate suspension and an audit. The two, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anaba, say that their call is based on the controversy surrounding the project. Judith Awachitando has the rest of the story.
Dicey situation, a president unrelenting in his efforts to fulfill an old-time promise to God, a chunk of citizens who feel this promise is not priority, especially during an economic crisis, and members of a board in charge of this promise gradually calling it a quit. The National Cathedral project, since its inception, has been marred with many controversies, and now members of the Board of Trustees are feeling the pressure. It all started when founder and presiding bishop of the Lighthouse Group of Churches, Bishop Darkeywood Mills, in a letter last year raised concerns about the structure of the leadership of the cathedral, the cost of the project, its mode of fundraising, among others. The bishop later resigned from the board after expressing disappointment in what he says was blatant disregard for his concerns. Then followed a myriad of accusations on yet another member of the board, Reverend Victor Kusibuating, of double identity and conflict of interest by the MP for North Tong, Samuel Okujetu Ablakwa. This matter, which was refuted by the board and Reverend himself, is still yet to be settled. But while that issue still hangs, there lies an even bigger challenge. Now, two clergymen and members of the Board of Trustees have called for its immediate suspension and audit. The clergymen, Archbishop Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anaba, say their call is due to the many controversies surrounding the project. A suspension of the project, according to them, will pave way for transparency and accountability. The two, in a memo sent to the Board of Trustees on Monday, January 2023, called for an independent audit by a nationally recognized auditor of the expenditures of the project. They further called for the project to be halted until there's an improvement in economic conditions in the country. The National Cathedral remains one of the most heavily contested projects to have ever been introduced. Judith Awachitando, TV3 News.
All right, so clearly it looks as though the issues surrounding the National Cathedral will definitely not be going away anytime soon. Joining me in studio is my colleague Pakwesi Asare, who's been going through that statement or the letter that was written from these two men of God to the trustee, the Board of Trustees, asking that the project, the National Cathedral project, be suspended for an audit to be done, and it's on the back of the many controversies that have been, leveled against the entire project. Pakwesi, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon.
First of all, walk us through some of the specifics of the letter that was sent to the Board of Trustees.
Well, I think, Martin, it's already been stated that the two sponsors of this action are the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams and Reverend Eastwood Anamba, who are members of the Board of Trustees. Now, they were very careful not to impugn the integrity of the whole project. They started off by justifying the president's intention to build this cathedral, the fact that it aims to provide a sacred place and infrastructure for formal religious and other activities in Ghana, such as state funerals and presidential inaugural services, as well as global gatherings such as peace and reconciliation meetings and international summits that advance faith, peace, stability, and a better world. They go ahead to talk about the fact that the number of African Christians are growing exponentially, and although it's declining in other parts of the world. They also talk about the fact that in Ghana, we have the Christian community dominating in terms of its contribution, in terms of its demographic. So they're the largest, comprising about 71.3% of the national population. So in stating or giving the justification for this project, they go to state certain facts that they affirm that, for instance, although tourism is an important driver of economic growth for Ghana, they affirm also that Ghana has a distinctive comparative and competitive advantage to serve as a global epicenter and gathering place for Africa's expansive and growing Christian population and others. So despite all these things, they also take into cognizance the fact that, you know, the building of cathedrals all across the world have not been built in a day. So the site of St. Paul's Cathedral in London, for instance, which was built in 35 years, the Washington National Cathedral, which took 82 years to be built, the Notre Dame, we know, which is in France, completed in about 100 years, the Cologne Cathedral in Germany, which took about 74 years to complete, as well as the Milan Cathedral in Italy, which was completed in 579 years. Now, they are saying that, they regret to state that based on the current economic climate in Ghana, which poses as an obstacle to the timely construction and completion of the National Cathedral, they feel respectfully that this project should be held on and should be suspended for transparency and accountability to the Ghanaian people. The current Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral shall appoint an independent, nationally recognized accounting firm to audit all public funds that have been contributed and spent by the National Cathedral. So they want an audit into this project, and they also want a suspension of the project. And until the national economic issues that we're going through are resolved, we should stay the project.
Hasn't that been what almost everyone has been saying? That I'm not sure there is anyone yet to totally be objecting to the building of the National Cathedral. Everybody who has spoken about it is just asking for time. Did they talk about timelines, considering that others were built in 35 years, 85 years, etc.? They may not have spoken about timelines of the National Cathedral, did they?
No, they didn't state the timelines, but there's something important happening in the country right now. And we all know about the difficulties that we're going through as a country. We are seeking an IMF bailout. And so these are pressing national issues that we've got to, first of all, overcome before we look at other things. And this is a very sensitive matter, Martin. I must remind you that even the Member of Parliament, Samuel Kujito Ablaka, who's been waging the campaign against the building of well, he's not directly saying he's against it. Yeah, he says there are irregularities which he is uncovering. Now, you even watch that from his own posture. He's careful about it, not entirely condemning the project, because it's a very sensitive matter. They stated in their statement that the Christian community, in terms of demographics, constitutes over 70% of the population. So you've got to be careful how you talk about this matter or how you deal with it, because it plays on the keyboards of people's emotions. And so to hear this coming from these very respected clergymen tells you that we've got to put some weight on it. Already we heard from Doug Hayward Mills, and his concerns about it. That letter came into the public domain, and this very latest one also coming from these two very respected people. So there's a lot to chew on.
There's a lot to chew on. Thank you very much, Pakwesi Asare, with the latest regarding the National Cathedral. A statement coming from two clergymen he mentioned, Archbishop Nicholas Duncan William, and then also Eastwood Anaba. So if you go to our website, definitely you get details of the specifics of what they have been saying in their letter to the trustees, or the Board of Trustees of the Secretariat of the National Cathedral. In a related development, though, or still on the National Cathedral, the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, who has actually also been at the forefront of asking for scrutiny of this project, has, in the latest Facebook page, been touching on a number of things. We'll slap it on the screen for you so you can also follow the specifics of what his concerns are. He says, for instance, and these are questions he raised, he says, for instance, why is the Board of Trustees flagrantly and violently violating Article 1742 of the Ghanaian Constitution by granting all companies working on the National Cathedral project tax waivers when only the Parliament of Ghana has that power under the Constitution? That's a fair question to ask. He goes on to also ask, why did the Board of Trustees illegally sideline the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, as the latter confirmed in the June 4, 2022 Right of Information request? Why did they also illegally avoid the Central Tender Review Committee? And certainly for such a national project, procurements will be made, so you definitely would need to work with the state procurement authorities so you are sure that you are doing due diligence. This is another question Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa posed, which is that why did the Board of Trustees overlook the crucial provision in its letter of award to Ribad JV dated the 30th of July 2021 for the submission of a valid advance payment guarantee? Another question, what's the explanation for spending only 22 million US dollars out of the 58 million US dollars of taxpayers' funds unconstitutionally withdrawn for actual construction? These and many other questions have been asked by the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. And I mean, certainly it looks as though the conversation surrounding the cathedral will linger for the next few months, probably next few years. We'll definitely be updating you as and when we get latest updates on it. This is still Midday Live on TV3. Away from the National Cathedral controversies, let's look at today, which is being marked as the International Day of Education. On the back of that, the United Nations General Assembly proclaimed the 24th of January as International Day of Education in celebration of the role of education for peace and development. The Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, is encouraging authorities in the education space to continuously assess the impact of various investments on the various levels of development in this country. In a message to mark this year's International Day of Education, the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, noted that investments in people and the prioritization of education should count in all aspects of our lives as a society. The theme for the 5th International Day of Education is to invest in people, priorities, to invest in people, prioritize education. And so that's the theme that is being used to mark this year's International Day of Education. And here in Ghana, I'm sure that we are also marking it very vigorously, considering the fact that we are very active when it comes to matters of education. Dr. Peter Pateyanti is the Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies. I first is joined us via Zoom for a quick chat on this. Doc, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time. Right, kindly unmute for me while at that. Let me just throw in my first question, which would be that is, for instance, our way of celebrating or marking issues of education, do we have anything to really celebrate? And what are the highlights or high points you think should, get us interested in issues of matters of education?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers and listeners. Yes, I think that we have done well as a country in terms of investing in education. And that is why this year we felt that we have to look at the impact of this investment in our society, because over the years we've been talking about asking government to increase his expenditure in education, and government has committed to always increase the expenditure that they set aside for education. So in a day like this, we feel that we need to look at the impact of this investment, because investments are not done in a vacuum. You do investment because you expect certain benefits and returns. And what are these benefits? We have been able to get a lot of people to in our educational system over the years. We are almost achieving universal basic education. At the secondary school level, we have been able to put a lot of people in secondary education through the free SHS policy. Of course, at the tertiary level, we have seen an improvement in the tertiary enrollment ratio from 18% to almost 20%. So we are doing a lot. We are building schools. We are building educational institutions. We are building offices. We are building libraries. We are trying as much as possible to ensure that education reaches every individual that deserves to be served in the country. Right. And these are investments that we have made. But then our focus for today is how are these investments impacting on our lives as a society?
That's a very good question. And what answer do you have for that question? How is this impacting directly on our society?
It's a question that I think at the individual level we all have to look at it, and then at the national level we also have to look at it. Individuals have been able to invest in their education, but as I talk to you now, there are people who have completed their education and there are still hope. Education is supposed to yield private benefits. So that is why people are spending money. They are doing masters, they are doing first degree, they are doing PhDs and other things, and the expected result is that when they go through this program, their life would improve. And whilst their life is improving, they will be able to contribute to the growth of the society that they live in, their family, and then the entire country. But we are not seeing this. People have gone through education and they are not getting anything to do. Apart from that, as a country, when you are investing in education, you will see some changes in terms of certain variables. Crime rate is supposed to go down. You are supposed to experience improvement in your socio-economic growth. You are supposed to experience improvement in sanitation, environmental changes, and a whole lot of these things. In fact, even your media space is supposed to be cleared from all those kind of abuses and other things. But is that what we are experiencing? No. And that is why we think that we have to pause and assess. Are we making the right investment? Are the right people getting the right investment that we are making? And how have these investments that we have made over the years impacted on the life of the people and the society in general? And when we're able to assess this, we will now be able to really strategize and see how best we'll be able to do these investments and get the needed returns at the end of the day.
Right. My last question maybe would be that in the last, say, 20 years, 2 decades that is, or probably 30, clear government policies have gone into how we can improve our education. Governments have made investments, especially from very basic to primary to secondary, and then to some tertiary levels. We see that infrastructure developments, etc. Investments are being made. How would you quantify all of that in the last 20 years maybe? Would you say that the investments have really translated into improved lives of citizens? We have a better, well-educated group of citizenry?
That would be difficult to say. I think that we are making progress. We are doing well, but we can do better, and that should be the focus in a day like this. We have succeeded in extending education to a vast majority of our people. Unfortunately, if you look at the data, there's a recent report that has been released by, I think, UNICEF or UNESCO just this month, and it says that we are spending 3 times more on the rich families as compared to the poor families. So we are spending 12% of our education expenditure on the poor, and then we are spending 36% on the rich. And these are the kind of discrepancies and inequalities that we have to look at, that although we are making these investments, the people who really need it, because we use education to bridge the gap of inequality. So you look at those who are down there, those who are marginalized, and you try to let them access education so that they will be up there with those who are well-to-do. But our style of allocating educational resources have not been to that dimension. And to that extent, although we are doing well, we are not getting the needed kind of result that we should get.
All right, Dr. Peter Patianti, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Certainly education is, the key, as they keep saying, but we really need to prioritize and keep particular attention on how we educate our young people who will eventually become future leaders. This is still Midday Live on TV3. We are going to Parliament. We have some big news coming in. There has been a major shake-up and a change in the leadership of the minority side of Parliament. The NDC minority in Parliament has made specific changes to its leadership. And my colleague Komla Kluche, who is our parliamentary correspondent, has the specific details. He's joined us for an update. Komla, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Zoom. What are first of all, what has necessitated the changes and who are the new leaders of the NDC in Parliament?
A letter that the National Democratic Congress has sent to the Speaker and also copied some of the individuals who have been affected, explanation that they are given. And this letter signed by the General Secretary of the party, Fifi Kwete, that says that as part of the reorganization process of the NDC to reposition the party better for the hassle in the 2024 election, it has become necessary to redeploy you, the recipient of this letter, from your current position as deputy minority leader with immediate effect. Kindly arrange with a new officer to effect the necessary handing over processes. I mean, this, for instance, with specifics, is to the deputy minority leader, James Kluche Abeju, who I just called up a short while ago. He is in Kenya, and he says this is a letter that was just sent to him in less than about 10 minutes ago by his secretary, and he is unaware of this. There's been absolutely no discussion whatsoever at the leadership level regarding this particular matter, and he appeared even very, very shocked about it. But to look at the broader aspect of it, now the letter, as we are getting, is indicating that the minority leader that he used to be, Haruna Idrisu, has left the position per the directives of the reorganization of the NDC, and the position now is going to Dr. Kesela Toforsen, who until now was a ranking member on the finance committee. The deputy minority leader is also going to Kofi Amaboa, who is the MP for Elembele and also the ranking member on the Trade Tourism Committee of Parliament. Then the minority whip is going to Kwame Govis Agboja, who is a ranking member on the Roads and Transport Committee. The two deputy whips, that is Ahmed Ibrahim and Comfort Doyo Gansa, surprisingly, they have been maintained. So Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka, as skilled and experienced members of Parliament, have lost their position per what the documents that we are getting is indicated as has been written to the Speaker of the House. Well, at least this is confirmation that we have had from the deputy minority leader that yes, indeed, his secretary has given him this letter, but then there's been absolutely no discussion whatsoever. Martin, I can tell you that we have been on a trip with the minority members on the health committee, and all of them are stunned. They are shocked about the shake-up in the leadership of the party as we speak to you.
Kamala, that's pretty interesting. So definitely we'll be getting further reactions to these new changes, in the coming days, probably in the next few hours. But thank you for that quick update. Maybe you can also, in a minute, briefly tell us what you've been doing with the Health Committee in Parliament, where specifically you are.
Okay, so Martin, we have been a tour. We have been in a tour of the Ashanti region, specifically to some of the project in the Agenda 111 hospitals that has been earmarked to be built by the government. Well, we understand per document that the Secretariat has given to the Health Committee, 10% mobilization has been given to some of the contractors, some in far excess of $1 million. They have had the money, they've had the mobilization. There's been no reporting to site whatsoever. Meanwhile, the documents that has been given to the health committee is also indicating some variations regarding the completion of the project. For instance, some of the secretariat is indicating that the completion of the project before the president will be leaving office by 2024, it would only be amounting to about between 20 to 30% of work done, which means that they will not be able to complete the project. These are official documents that have come to the health committee, to which the minority has had to go to the site to verify why the contractors have not been to site, even though they have received the monies that have been paid to them. This ensued in the Ashanti region, part of Adanse constituency, and then also Obuasi is constituency. If we have the story, we can play for viewers to watch.
To see what's actually going on the various sites. And if you could recall, it's one of the projects that they pump the COVID money into. And also, per our records, they have given this contractor not less than $1 million. $1 million as at January 2022. And we are in January 2023. And there is no contractor on site. Mind you, if anybody has captured anything, there are no contractor on site. These are just trucks who are coming to take their stones and go away. So there is no contractor on site. This is Kwabrakwa, and per our records, this contractor has been paid not less than $1 million. There are other subcontractors who have been paid. I can see here, Gale Limited has been paid almost $81,000. Concord Consort Limited has been paid about $130,000. And then I can say Express Property Management Company Limited has been paid more than $1 million as far back as January 2022. And this is the site.
Have you been able to site?
Well, that's not my responsibility. I'm a member of parliament. I'm a ranking member of the committee. We demanded that those who were in charge, if you recall, the Agenda 111 is directly under the presidency. So we insisted during our budget debate that the committee must come and meet the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health. And so it was led by the chief of staff at the Flat Staff House. And they appeared before the committee, and then they gave us the background that contractors are on site and work are ongoing, and per the records, we demanded to know how much has been paid to each contractor. So we did some few selection. We wanted to know for ourselves what's really happening on site.
All right, so that is Honorable Minta Akanda, who is a ranking on the Health Committee in Parliament. So, Komla, we would have to leave it here. Certainly, in subsequent bulletins, we'll be coming to you for an update of what exactly the committee is finding out in the Ashanti region and several other places you'll be visiting. Thank you so much. Komla Kluche, giving us an update from Parliament, and then also he's with the ranking committee, the Health Committee of Parliament in the Ashanti region. Stay with us. The latest news coming in is that the National Democratic Congress has made some quick leadership changes to the leadership of the front bench in Parliament. If you go to our website, you get those details. Haruna Idrisu is no more the leader of the minority side. If you want to know who, it's on our website. Stay with us. There's more after this break.
I'm going to interview Zuzum right here in my house. Hey!
Look up there. Why are you using inferior pen?
It was a mistake. I no check you.
Akrobetu, I'm going to knock you out.
I know, sir.
You deserve quality.
Don't make mistakes. Stop.
You did the right thing.
When you are going to buy a paint, don't look left, don't look right. Go straight and grab the luxury paint. No be any paint, be paint.
The luxury acrylic paint.
Paint mo champion.
Pepsodent is aware that globally, 1 in 2 children suffer from cavities. That's why by giving her Pepsodent, you're not only protecting her teeth, but also helping her grow up and thrive at every stage of her life with a healthy and confident smile, so she can succeed and achieve all of her dreams. Because every smile matters.
Headache? Toothache? Pains? Worry no more. Introducing Alteco Cooling Patch. Aches and pains are things of the past. With Alteco Cooling Patch by your side, all you have to do is to gently take out the patch from the sachet and place on the portion that aches, and in a few minutes you have your relief. Alteco Cooling Patch is not suitable for children below 1 year. Available in Ekus Pharmacy, Farmer George Outlet, Chaska Pharmacy at Shaiman, Jeremy Hatch Pharmacy at Denta, and the Palace Mall. For bulk purchase, call 0243 148469. Want relief from aches and pains? It's Alteco Cooling Patch. Grab yours now. This advert is FDA approved.
Impressor oil and capsules are carefully formulated to give fast relief from pains associated with arthritis, musculoskeletal pains, waist and back pains, and pains related to sports and other injuries. They contain extras from carefully selected plants that keep the joint strong by stopping the degradation of glycosaminoglycan and support joint lubrication activity. The extras have antioxidant property and eliminate harmful toxins that lead to joint pains, muscular pains, and bone weakness. Impressor capsules and impressor oil gives faster relief. They provide relief for a longer period of time. Results in soothing sore muscles, alleviate joint dryness, and improve numbness at joints and extremities. With Impressor, pain flees. This advert is FDA approved.
Good afternoon. Time now for some business news. Still on Midday Live, and I'm Menu Afo. Now let's begin from individual bondholders, because the Ghana Individual Bondholders Forum says with banks on board the domestic debt exchange program, the government is set to reach its 80% target even without individual bondholders. The Senyo Hosi-led group has in a statement affirmed the need for the exclusion of individual bondholders and collective investment schemes in the debt exchange program. On Monday, the Ministry of Finance and the Ghana Association of Banks issued a joint statement indicating an agreement on the debt exchange program that provides a 5% coupon on government bonds this year, compared to the zero interest rate that was previously announced. Reacting to the developments, the Forum of Individual Bondholders says, unlike banks and other institutions who are set to benefit from various regulatory incentives, individual bondholders have no fallback nor incentives and will be condemned to shackled penury. The group is therefore urging government to stay focused on its responsibility to protect its citizens and, for that matter, exclude individual bondholders, including individuals and collective investment schemes who account for less than 11% of eligible bonds from the debt exchange program. Eligible, Monsieur Ali. Well, in more business news, the Bank of Ghana has warned banks against offering cocoa bills to individual investors, urging them to restrict the cocoa board bills to institutional investors only. The caution follows the confusion that greeted a decision to roll over matured cocoa bills last week without the investors' consent. While the central bank, together with cocoa board and the banks, have agreed to pay individual bondholders who may not want to roll over, institutional investors will have their bills rolled over for another 6 months at the same rate of 30.78%. Stephen Opata is the director of the Financial Markets Department at the Bank of Ghana.
Bills, as they've been designed, are similar to the Bank of Ghana bills that we issue as a central bank for monetary policy purposes, as to mop up liquidity from the system. Now, but cocoa bills were designed to mainly for financial institutions to assist cocoa board with its temporary financial needs, such as their working capital. So if you look at the notice that the central bank sends to banks, we invite bids from banks for the cocoa bills. And this notice actually says that banks are eligible to participate. So it was not intended for individuals or retail clients. So we know, but we've noticed that some of the banks are selling this to individuals, their customers, and that's something that I think we don't want to encourage going forward.
So, what will be the conversation with the banks in terms of averting such a situation? Because we realized investors were quite worried that their accounts were credited and debited at the same time if the product is not designed for them.
Our statements has indicated that Cocoa Board is working to at least make sure that they get their cash flows that the individuals were expecting right away. But we work with the banks to clarify that the cocoa bills are intended, or the target investors are institutional investors, that's financial institutions, and that's how they should market this product going forward.
Meanwhile, Director of Business Operations at Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, suggests banks engage their customers in managing the cocoa bills controversy.
I expect the regulators and the affected banks to do is to quickly call these customers and negotiate a deal with them so that they will come to some agreement. The next step in all this is to talk to the individual corporate customers, explain the situation to them so that we can move forward with a little bit more harmony and a little bit more consultation in this process. This whole thing is a mess. And I hope that the Bank of Ghana is working assiduously with the relevant commercial banks and Cocoa Board to resolve it.
And that's how we end the business segment here on Midday Live. I'm Menu Afodi. Stay with us for sports after the break.
Are you a family that can make history through dance? Does your family have all the dance moves? Can your family shake the stage and wow the judges? If your answer to all these questions is yes, then you've got to prove it.
Gather your family and friends. Simply record a video of your family dancing with not more than 4 members and send it to WhatsApp number 0277-222-641
and get selected to partake in the Bigo family dance. Don't miss this opportunity to win cash prizes and the family trip abroad. Bigo family dance. Pick up your move.
Welcome to the 7th edition of the Total Energies African Nations Championships, Algeria Chan 2023. Starting January 13th, 18 top African soccer nations will battle it out of their group stages for the cup at the finals on February 4th, including the Black Galaxies from Ghana, who will face Madagascar, Sudan, and twice defending Chan champions Morocco to qualify for the next knockout rounds. Tune in to the station for the best in African soccer as 18 national teams compete in the Total Energies African Nations Championships, Algeria Chan 2023. Coming to you live and free from 13 January to 4th February on the station.
We are on a mission promoting access to quality health and education through the power of our media space. Since 2014, we have made great impact. TV3 mission now drives Ghana's quest to break barriers and provide access to inclusive and quality girls' education, together with women's maternal health services. Our mission to address the needs of the socially excluded has won the admiration of many. Indeed, TV3 Mission gets you the results. Mission is live on TV3 News 360 every Saturday and Sunday. Supported by Star Ghana Foundation, with thanks to Foreign Commonwealth and Development Office.
Good afternoon. It's time for sports on Midday Live. My name is Kelvin Olson. Starting from tennis, and Victoria Azarenka continued her quest for a third Australian Open title a decade on from her last by knocking American third seed Jessica Pegula out in the quarterfinals. The 33-year-old Belarusian seeded 24th made a confident start and used the momentum to win 6-4, 6-1. Azarenka faces Wimbledon champion 6-2, 6-4.
Semi-final in a decade. Well, it hurts to beat her because I always want her to do well, but I also, at the same time, I know I have to play my best tennis. She's been playing amazing, very consistent, and I knew from the first point I have to bring it. We had so many rallies, and I just wanted to try to stay there, take opportunities, because she was, she was gonna take everything if I don't try to win myself, and I'm very, very proud that I executed my game plan really well, and yeah, it's so amazing to be in the semifinal of another Grand Slam.
Well, now in the men's, Stefano Tsitsipas has defeated Jiri Lehecka just minutes ago in 3 straight sets, 6-7, 7-6, 6-4. But earlier, Karen Khachanov had to move into the quarterfinals after Sebastian Korda from United States retired with a wrist injury, which he got in the third set. Well, just before he retired, he was trailing by 2 sets and also 3-0 in 3 games down the third set. Alexis will face Cameroon or Niger in the last 8 of the ongoing CHAN 2022 in Algeria. One of either Cameroon or Niger can pick the only qualification slot from Group E when they face at 7 p.m. today. The clash will take place at the Miloud Haddafi Stadium, Oran, on Saturday. That is the quarter-final game between Ghana or Cameroon and Niger. This was confirmed after Madagascar beat Sudan 3-0 to top Group C. Ghana finished with 6 points following a 3-1 victory over Sudan and 3 awarded points for Morocco's withdrawal from the competition. Well, some interesting news happening in Uganda, and police in Jinja have detained at least 8 supporters of English Premier League football side Arsenal over a trophy parade on the city streets following the Class 3-2 victory over Manchester United on Sunday. On TV3 New Day this morning, journalist Eric Njiru from Kenya explains why the arrest was made not just because of the celebrations.
This is considered like, let's say, demonstrating, and when you're demonstrating in public, you have to have a permit from the police or from the local office, but they did not have that because that happened immediately after their game against Man United, which was late on Sunday and then on Monday morning, yesterday. But now the police obviously they felt that they were disrupting traffic, they were disrupting people, and that's why they were asked, why don't you have a permit to do whatever you're doing? Because when you go to the public, to the city, which means you need to have a permit from the police or from the chief. Oh. But now those Arsenal fans, they just took to the streets to celebrate their big win, and obviously, they were justified, but on the other side, they have to stick to the law. But let's say there will not be a case to answer for them. I've been speaking to some of my colleagues over there in that city.
Well, interesting news there in Kenya. Now moving on to basketball. The Boston Celtics' 9-game winning run came to an end with a shocking defeat by the Eastern Conference stragglers, the Orlando Magic. The Magic's third from bottom end the table won 113-98 baskets as Paulo Banchero's top scored with 23 points. Now elsewhere, Damian Lillard scored 37 points and moved up to 7th place on the all-time three-pointers list.
The bucket right there. Like a 19-year-old who forgot his passport, right? to get to Paris, so he got there a little bit later than the rest of the team.
Well, that will be all for sports this afternoon on Midday Live. My name is Kevin Osuansa. John Walla comes your way with entertainment.
Good afternoon. Let's do some updates in the world of entertainment. My name is Noella. Now, the CEO of High Grade Family, Samini, has ruled out the possibility of working with Ghanaian rap heavyweight Sarkodie on a song. Now, Samini cited a disrespectful attitude by Sarkodie towards him as the reason behind his decision. He labeled Sarkodie as a fake colleague.
Love Rock, Sarkodie featuring Samini, a beautiful joint recorded back in 2014. 8 years ago, Sarkodie linked up with Samini and got the dancehall star contributing some impeccable verses to make Love Rock a big hit.
Alright, let me show you.
8 years on, all appears not to be well between the two musicians. Details of their estranged friendship came to light when a netizen asked the High Grade Family boss Samini when he's hitting the studio to record a song with the top rapper. In his response, Samini said, "Not sure I'll need a verse from Sark, but if he ever does need one, I'm not interested, and that's fact. He knows this himself, or you're low sometimes, and I don't play that. Yes or no be problem for so it go slow you and your project go dull." He did it to me on Burning EP.
Baby girl, cool for me. No cry, no swimming pool for me. Me ready for be a man, I'm a world for set the rule for me. I no go break no rules for me.
The revered dancehall artist labels Sarkodie as a fake colleague who is bad at returning favors. "I did Love Rocks for free under 24 hours. What are you talking about? LOL. He's just a low when it comes to returning favors," he tweeted. The Linda hitmaker wants a personal apology from Sarkodie for the blue ticks after having him send 3 tracks and ignoring him.
Love is like a treasure. Girl, me got the tool for dig. Those jail could have measure super heavyweight thing me bring. Man, I try separate. We have beast thing me bring. And if I loving thing, me are the right man for ring.
Well, away from down to some more stories. After the last virtual concert in 2021, the Rebel Salute concert in Jamaica returned this year with a great lineup of artists at the Plantation Cove. Now, Ghanaian reggae dancehall star Stonebwoy was on the bill and thrilled fans. Here are some highlights. And there you have it. That's it for entertainment here on Midday Live. My name is Noel. Up next, international.
And on the international front, the World Health Organization has urged immediate and coordinated action to root out contaminated medicines that have been linked to the death of hundreds of children in Africa and Asia. More than 300 children died from contaminated cough syrup in the Gambia, Uzbekistan, and Indonesia in 2022. Many of the victims were younger than 5 years old. The incidents are believed to be caused by the contamination of Indian and Indonesian-made cough syrups with dangerously high levels of diethylene glycol and ethylene glycol. The World Health Organization urged government and regulators to deduct substandard medical products and remove them from circulation. Indian authorities have launched multiple probes into the pharmaceutical companies linked to the death in the Gambia and Uzbekistan. In recent months, the World Health Organization asked people to stop using cough syrups made by these two Indian companies, Maiden Pharmaceuticals and Marion BioNTech, after they were linked to the death of children in the Gambia and Uzbekistan, respectively. And that's how we bring the bulletin to an end. Thank you very much for spending your last 1 hour with us. Our website, 3news.com, is replete with many more stories. My name is Martin Nasiru Dati. Have a good afternoon, and as always, stay positive. Bye for now.
This movie is rated PG. Parental guidance is advised.